This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Well, hello and welcome back to the Research Talks here from Stockbox with Alan Green and Dan Flynn. So we're really in the summer. Gosh, what a warm week it has been. I think it was 37 degrees earlier this week in the Netherlands. That was rather hot. Did any of you guys beat that number?
Don't think we can beat that mark. No, I think we were certainly just over 30, but also I think it was just very oppressive. The heat was. We've had hot days before, but I think when you combine it with extreme humidity, which we seem to have, that was really difficult. But yeah, I was.
Well, I'm sorry you were oppressed this week, Alan. That's never good to be oppressed.
Well, I was in London on Tuesday. I came up to see Cameron Pearce of Blenker and hadn't seen him for a few years, so we had a catch up. And thankfully, we were in an air conditioned hotel, so it didn't matter. And then we staggered outside after one or two drinks, and the hot air hit us. So that was quite amusing.
Always nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, the markets, I don't know. I can't really say they're heating up, can we? I don't know. I mean, nothing's standing out to me this week anyway.
No, the Bitcoin price has obviously continued to rise.
Yeah.
But things have been a little bit on the quiet side more generally, haven't they?
Exactly. Well, of course, we had the big, beautiful, I can't do his accent. One big, beautiful bill. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
I think. Wow. We can do American accents, but we can't do Trump. You have to be quite special to do Trump, I think. I can't do it. I can China. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I'm not even going to try. Yeah.
Almost sounds like Liam Gallagher and Sunshine, doesn't it? It's that sort of way.
Yeah, he's got a very unique voice and persona, way of communicating. But that was passed, so that probably will make its way. Well, that's obviously the M2 increasing, so I mean, it inevitably finds its way to the markets, to equities and things like Bitcoin. So, game on maybe. But obviously, we are July the 4th. The markets are closed in the United States, and we are really going into the summer.
It's going to be a quiet period now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Dan, anything from you, or shall we crack on?
No, like Alan, I've been finding the heat rather oppressive. It's hard to even think straight, but it's cooled down a little bit. And I think with the markets, I was reading on the FT London IPO fundraisings at a 30-year low. But, after we get the summer out of the way, I mean, I feel like I've been seeing some green shoots of recovery and sentiment. So, and coupled with the stuff in the US, hopefully we can have a much more positive second half of the year.
Indeed.
Well, I think the Bitcoin treasury still has legs too. I think we've seen perhaps the end of the first flurry of excitement, but I think the principle, nonetheless, tying your company's assets into Bitcoin is a very sound idea anyway. And those that are doing it and are actively progressing that policy, I think will reap dividends, and I think that will come to fruition as the year progresses.
Well, I think it's really nice to see. I don't know how it's made or someone made it, but I've seen it going around on the Telegram groups, treasury companies, and it lists them all in a list. And it's actually really nice to see, I think at least three of regular mining companies who are on Stockbox, i.e. Bluebird, Panther, and Mendell, who we're going to talk about today. It's really nice to see that they're there. I don't think any of the mining. I'm not aware of any of the mining companies that are doing it, and it's really great to see the ones that we deal with.
Yeah, no, I think I said to you last time, Mark and Dad, a little medical device company, TrueSpine, have also adopted a Bitcoin treasury policy, and they've just appointed a consultant this week to oversee that process. It'll be really interesting to see what that consultant brings, because in a sense, it's opening up a new opportunity. I think if you're a consultant and you can all of a sudden look after the treasury assets of all these companies, then there's a business there in itself. So maybe we'll see one of those float. Who knows?
Yeah,
maybe. Okay, well, Alan, you're kicking us off, I think, with Mendell. Mendell Helium, who have got a very active summer, I think. In fact, we're going to see some gas, I think, soon, aren't we? I hope.
We are going to see some gas soon. Yes, it's and I think this is the thing with Mendell, and it's I think there is a bit of frustration perhaps with the fact that it's not necessarily reflected, or the progress isn't reflected in the market capitalization of the company at present. But of course, Mendell Helium has emerged from Voyager Life, which is Aquis listed. Shares are currently at just under 2p, where they at the level at which they completed a fundraise and raised 515,000 recently. Shares, of course, have traded higher than that, and they too are one of the companies, as you rightly said, Mark, that have adopted a Bitcoin treasury policy. They are in the process of acquiring M3 Helium, which is the operating company for assets, the gas assets in Kansas. They're going to be issuing 57 million shares, and the enlarged share capital will, by bringing the two companies together, will then complete and become the complete entity. And that will now take place in September, at the same time as the company moves from Aquis to AIM. And indeed, Nick and the team stated a few weeks ago that that process was well underway. The progress to take the company onto the AIM market was well underway, and will be completed. So the transaction per se will be completed at the same time, which I think, from a logistical standpoint, makes total sense. Also worthwhile noting, of course, the company has some legacy assets from the old Voyager Life. Those were sold to Orsis Therapeutics. Mendell, the new entity, effectively owns 28% of Orsis Therapeutics, and will receive performance based revenues, and there will be further upside conditional on revenue targets achieved by the company. But I think for this year, the focus has been looking at the wells that are being operated by M3 Helium, and also, of course, trying to plan out to take full advantage of the relationship with Scout Energy. And of course, Scout Energy have the Jayhawk gas processing plant. They also have a farming agreement now with Scout Energy to produce gas. And although there has been a fee levied by Scout, that has been waived now as the gas is produced and starts to come to market. So this agreement with Scout will offload all future production of the Rost well. And of course, the Rost well has been front and center of the news flow from Mendell recently. And Rost well is expected to produce in excess of $100,000 of gas per calendar month, 250 million cubic feet per day. But of course, in order to produce effectively, the company has to extract the water. They now have the Broby well, which is now set up, saltwater well, which is prepped and ready to receive the water from the Ross well. They have an electric submersible pump, which has been purchased and tested. And it's all coming under budget. And this is now able to take 4,500 barrels of water per day at 640 psi, which is pretty impressive. So that means as that water is extracted, the gas is very easy to extract, and it's very easy to extract in large quantities. And this is what is so exciting about Mendell. And I think the investment proposition compared to its peer group is actually pretty compelling and very different. And perhaps the reason is that the reason for the share price not moving as of yet is because the deal hasn't been completed. But I think with the move to AIM, it's absolutely going to be transformative. And on that fundraise, a number of warrants were issued to investors, both at 4p and higher. So of course, I think the company fully expects the share price to progress a lot higher, and to improve and increase the market capitalization. And of course, once those warrants are exercised, further cash will come into the company as well. So This all happened during June. The permitting and engineering for Ross is expected to be completed probably within the next week or so. The company, of course, also announced along with this a Bitcoin treasury management policy. The plan is to hold Bitcoin as a long-term treasury asset. It'll, of course, provide Mendell with cross-border flexibility for financial transactions. Also to help preserve cash, very important at this point. Consultants and advisors have all agreed to receive stock and warrants. I mentioned those warrants just now. And the chief exec, Nick Tulloch, of course, will receive the vast majority of his annual salary in stock and warrants also, which I think he's really, blazing a trail in this regard. He does the same, of course, at ECR, and that just doesn't put any pressure. So investors know that the money raised goes directly into the ground or directly into the project rather than into the board salaries, and that's a very important consideration. The latest announcement of the company, they've appointed a custodian to oversee security, and they've also set up a treasury committee to administer the Bitcoin policy. And I know from speaking to Nick recently, there's an awful lot of news flow to come in the next few weeks. So I think at this current level, just under 2p, the company's got a risible market cap of just £2 million currently. This is a company. I think if you consider the actual USPs, this company is actually selling and producing helium. Unlike its peer group, it's got unrivaled access to infrastructure. The Jayhawk gas plant. It's literally a plug and play opportunity. But also they're working with water. A lot of gas companies don't like to work with water, but they've actually proved with the Broby well that water extraction can work very effectively and also lead to higher flow rates as well. So a very exciting future in the next few months and in the run up to that move to AIM in September.
What news, Alan? What news is Nick? Do tell us what we can expect.
Well, I think it's just going to be progress with the Roswell as the Roswell comes into production, and because of course they've tested Broby now, they know it works. So they're going to be moving to the production phase, extracting the gas and getting the gas processed, and of course that's going to start to generate revenue. And when you move from explorer to producer, that changes the dynamics of the company completely. So you add that into the fact that you've got this move in September to AIM, the completion of the transaction. I think you're going to see the share price explode to life in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, I'm only joking. I wasn't fishing for inside information there. I think
No.
Yeah, we know what's going. We know Nick's spelled out the plan for the summer, so I think we're looking forward very much to seeing him in the field and hopefully getting some media as well as they do start that flow. I did ask him what it would look like, and he sort of said, "Well, it might gurgle a bit." So I don't think it's going to be like when you spud an oil well and you see all the crazy oil flying up. But either way, it'd be great to see that actually starting to flow.
There will be loud gurgles and hisses, I've been told. Yes.
Okay. Well, let's look forward to them. Good stuff. Okay. Excellent. Thank you for that. So, Dan, what do you want to take? We've got Pri0rity, but also, Pri0rity AI.
Yeah, let's start with that. So we're hoping to speak to Pri0rity on Stop Blocks for an update interview at some point soon. But in the meantime, with the company putting out so much news flow and generating quite a bit of attention, I thought it'd be worth covering today. So just to recap, Pri0rity is at its heart a technology company centered around using AI to help businesses grow. And its flagship product is Pri0rity Advisor, which is a platform that uses AI agents to automate things like social media and investor relations and even governance for SMEs, so small, medium enterprises in the UK at the moment. So Pri0rity was admitted to AIM through an RTO at the end of last year, with Pri0rity Advisor already launched and growing. And since then, the company's been really busy leveraging that core AI tech to expand its revenue lines from software as a service alone to areas like data and marketing services and consultancy. So if we just look at some of the highlights first, beginning with the data and marketing side of things, in March, Pri0rity partnered with marketing tech business Halfspace Group to launch an AI agent called Capitano. Capitano is designed to become a major player in a global sports marketing sector, which is forecast to be worth hundreds of billions of dollars in the near future, based on the figures I saw in one of the releases. The way it plans to take that position is by removing the issue sports brands currently have with having to rely on multiple data analytics providers to get audience insights, by using AI to process all the data itself and present it on one single interface at a competitive price point. So Capitano's already attracting wide interest from a growing number of sports clients globally. In April, it even commenced its strategic expansion into the US with the signing of a soccer or football club called Orange County SC. And this week, Pri0rity announced the completion of its acquisition of Halfspace to fully capitalize on that opportunity, as those potential partnerships continue to grow. So that's a potential company maker in itself. But moving on to the consultancy side of things, in March, Pri0rity also secured a contract with Leukemia Care to develop and implement a AI-powered hub to enhance the charity's digital capabilities and improve its overall comms with donors and patients. So that's worth up to 100K, which is a nice earner. But more importantly, Pri0rity believes that looking forward, the work will open the door for further AI consultancy projects to deliver strong additional revenue to the group. So all in all, that's a strong base. In a matter of months, Pri0rity has taken its core tech and increased its revenue potential from 1 stream to 3, all of those growing. However, it's how the company has been integrating crypto in recent weeks that has really begun to generate interest among investors. So for one thing, like a number of UK companies, including Mendell, it's formally adopted a Bitcoin treasury management policy. But also it's integrated a new revenue stream into its core software offering through the launch of Pri0rity. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced, but that's how it's written down. So apologies to the company if that's wrong. So this is an AI agent that enables Pri0rity's customers, which is a potential market of more than 5 million UK SMEs, to integrate Bitcoin and other crypto payments into their offering. And it also supports the maintenance of their holdings using insights, analytics, and reports. And no prizes for guessing that these moves have led interest in Pri0rity to skyrocket. So the company's share price, though admittedly quite volatile, has risen from 2.35p to 5.8p over the last month, reaching a high of more than 9p at one point. Volume's been off the charts, and the company is consistently among the most discussed on the bulletin boards. And frankly, I can see why. Pri0rity is really taking an innovative approach, and it's properly diversifying its revenues. It's no one-trick pony here. The company's Bitcoin treasury and payments agent put it right at the heart of a wave of interest in adopting crypto that's happening right now, both among investors and the businesses that it's actually targeting and its customer base. And beyond that, the company is cementing a strong position in the wider AI trend. It's formed a robust core offering for the growing demand for AI-driven automation solutions that can help to increase business productivity. And that's a multi-billion-dollar market in itself. And it's complementing that with a strong presence in the massive sports marketing sector, while also opening the door to taking on consultancy projects for companies requiring support with aligning their offering with where tech is heading, which is towards AI. So all that to say that while Pri0rity's revenues right now may be on the smaller side, I think they came in at 37K in H1 2025. This company has actual products rather than concepts and ideas. These products position it for the future. And that future is coming at us surprisingly fast. You only have to look at the recent success of, the smarter web company to see that. So in Pri0rity's half-year results recently, the chairman, Marcus Yeoman, said that now the foundations of the company are established, he expects a marked upturn in platform adoption in the second half of the year. I don't doubt that's the case. He's targeting at least 100 paying users to the Pri0rity platform by year end, along with growing revenues from consultancy services, Capitano, and that wider half-space business, which even today announced a 100K contract, I think it was. And from 2026, the growth will be across all those different products will be expected to continue as they continue to gain momentum. So I think it will be key to keep an eye out for updates on all of that. But I think it's also critical to note that with Pri0rity listing on the OTC in the States imminently, there's also the potential for this stock to open up to a much, much wider pool of investors who are even more hungry for exposure to crypto and AI than perhaps we are in the UK at the moment. So I'm excited to see where this is heading. With Pri0rity's market cap still at just 8.4 million, there could be a lot of scale for upside here, Mark.
Good. Well, they're definitely sort of cracking on, aren't they? They've got a few things going on, corporate and business-wise there that we see almost picked up quite a bit recently, I'd say, in the last few weeks. So, yeah, again, not many AI players out there on the London markets at the moment. It's only going to get more and more and more. So you can probably name almost on one hand, I would say, the number of AI companies that you can actually invest in.
Yeah, and
markets.
This one seems to be, it's actually got the products out there and it's advancing them. The price points for the revenues of these products are quite high and growing. So I think it's a good base as the sector becomes even more important to all of our everyday lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Dan. Thank you for that. So, Alan, Dekel Agrivision, we have spoken about them fairly recently, but what's going on here?
Yes, we have. Well, there have been a few developments with Dekel. Of course, Dekel Agrivision, London listed Dekel is the EPIC code. It sadly fell off a cliff a few months after I spoke about it. The share price was, I think, trading at around 1.2p. And of course, then a fundraise was announced and the share price dropped to the level of the fundraise, which unfortunately is just a fact of life for companies raising money in the market at present. But Dekel Agrivision is based in the Ivory Coast. It's West Africa. The Ivory Coast is kind of a regional powerhouse, producing all sorts of stuff, but Dekel are focused on producing palm oil and cashew nuts, and the region is very much a series of small landowners and small holders who all grow palm oil or the palm kernels, and also grow the nuts too, the cashew nuts, and they will take them to their local producer to get them processed and ready for market. And that's precisely what Dekel have set up. And of course, the markets ebb and flow like any commodity market. So the prices do tend to rise and fall, and that does and will and has impacted on the performance of the company. So you've got Lincoln Moore, who's the director of the company, has been there for some time. Yuval Razin, who's the chief executive, who provided the company with a large loan, which was just converted to stock in the fundraise. So the company's really resolved one of its long-standing issues. But the company publishes both monthly and quarterly output on production. There was a delay in getting the cashew nut processing plant up and running, but that's now up and sorted. And we heard from the company during June about May production, where it announced a fall in cashew nuts, crude palm oil production by 23%. Sales were down 14%, but there was a 23% jump in the sales price, and also really a massive increase in the price of palm oil, up 57%. So those high prices very much offset the lower volumes announced by the company during May. The company's also ordered some new machines for production, and that's going to increase daily production from 20 tons to between 30 and 35 tons per day. So that's going to have a material impact on the production capacity of the company, and also its ability earn money. Of course, if it's able to produce more with these higher prices, then that's going to really help the company to generate greater profits and also increase the revenues too. So we had the report from May. We then had the announcement about a week later that the company was going to raise 2 million at 55p per share, and also there was a retail offering in there as well. So it raised about 2.2 million all told. As I've said, the chief executive, Yovel Razin, his loan was converted to shares at the issue price, and the company completely restructured its debt in that regard. So put it very much on an even keel. And also, of course, with that 2 million quid in the bank, it's made a tremendous amount of difference. Along with that came the full year results. There was a fall in EBITDA to just under 4 million euros. Revenues were down 24% to 28 million euros. Margins increased to 18% from 15% previously. But the group EBITDA overall, which includes the cashew nuts, remains steady, where a strong performance of cashew nut production offset weaker palm oil volumes. So I'm looking at the picture now, and the chief executive is very confident in the outlook and guidance for the full year, and he believes that the improved full year performance, there'll be an improved full year performance, improved cashew nut production, and a first EBITDA positive result for the cashew nut plant. So if the company achieves all that this year, and that machinery, when it comes in, will improve production from probably mid-August onwards. If we see that increased production, if we see those prices held high as they are, then we could see a big turnaround, certainly in the early second half, probably Q3 of the year, which should lead to a consequential rise in share price back to those former levels. So I think the company offers a speculative buying opportunity at these levels. We're currently trading at 0.58 of a pence. That's against a year high of 1.65. So we're just off those year lows after the fundraise. But, company is now fully funded. New machinery is going to boost production. It's going to take production up from 20 tons a day to between 30 and 35 tons a day. It's resolved its historical debt, and I think it's in a far better place now than it has been for some years. And I think we're going to see a big increase in production in the second half. So shares, in my view, are speculative buy on the basis of what's coming up.
Okay. Does it happen? Is there a season for these, Alan, that works better?
It ebbs and flows. I mean, certainly the price of palm oil does seem to rise and fall. It is seasonal, but I think it tends to get quieter at this time of year. So
Okay,
if we
yeah.
can see those volumes return back to historical levels, but also bear in mind that the production capacity will be increased by about sort of 30 to 40%, then I think we're going to see a big increase in revenues, both EBITDA and also profitability, possibly even an increase in margins as well through increased efficiency.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you, Alan. Let's check back in with Dekel as we go back into the autumn, maybe, when they get those upgrades put in.
I think the next trading statement probably in September. I'll conduct another review. Then we'll see what the company is. But certainly, I think at this low now, if you're speculative, you might want to have a punt now, or you might want to wait to see those volumes improve. When we get to September.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, let's finish off then with Caracal Gold, who have started to finally make their way out of suspension, I think, and restructure themselves, refund themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, it is worth stating up top that Caracal does remain suspended for the time being, but the company's announced a development this week that I think marks a significant step forward in remedying that situation and getting it trading again. So first, a bit of background for those who are new to the company. Caracal's been suspended for some time after falling into financial trouble under its former management. But the company brought in Jason Brewer, also of Marula Mining and Neo Energy Metals, as executive director to help move things forward a couple of months ago. And so far, so good. The board's been restructured. Delayed full year and interim accounts have been posted, and the main step that now remains before trading can resume is the delivery of a prospectus to the FCA. So when I spoke to Jason last month, he said a major step in that process was a restructuring of Caracal's balance sheet. The company had previously been taking what he described as a band-aid solution to financing. So by this he means taking on short-term debt, convertible loans, bridging loans, etc., to keep the show on the road. What it needed to do was work out a way to settle those debts. And that seems to be what it's done this week, at least in part, with the announcement of a $1 million convertible loan facility. So this has been agreed with Kenyan-based group GMI, of which Jason is also a director and shareholder, as a term of 1 year from the resumption of trading, 10% annual interest rate, conversion price of 0.3p per share, and 2-year warrants at 0.4p per share. And Caracal will use the bulk of the sum to settle a range of legacy payments due to local stakeholders and creditors. So this will clear the path for the company to complete and lodge its prospectus with the FCA, and that will hopefully be followed shortly afterwards by the resumption of trading in London. And from there, as I've outlined before on here, I think Caracal could represent an interesting recovery play. So the company's Kilimapazi gold project in Kenya was historically an underground mine operating through adits and carbon-in-leach milling, but under Caracal it's shifted to an open-pit heap leach operation. Caracal's plan is to restart production as quickly as possible after relisting in a much more efficient way, subject to raising the necessary capital, of course. And with gold prices so high at the moment, this could be a really decent earner. Jason previously mentioned that costs could be anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 an ounce. So with gold trading at 3,300, I think it's around there right now, those are some pretty healthy margins. The plan is to ramp up through to 2026 from a couple of hundred ounces of gold a month to eventually more than 50,000 ounces per year as more capital becomes available. And through exploration, Caracal also hopes to expand the size of the resource at Kilimapazi, building a JORC-compliant resource base of more than 3 million ounces of gold. Wider areas potential is already evident from the prevalence of artisanal miners. So if Caracal can add more ounces through drilling and adding licenses, it will work to increase investor confidence in the project, potentially, unlocking more capital for expansion. So I think the long and short of it is Caracal remains suspended for now, but it's continuing to take visible steps towards getting everything aligned so it can get back to focusing on what it actually wants to do, which is gold mining. If the company can relist as planned and continue to steadily deliver, we could start to see it regain trust and interest from the market over the coming months and perhaps the next year.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what you think, Alan, but it's been a bit of a tricky time for them. But maybe considering the gold price now, of course, it's actually maybe, well, I'm not saying a good thing, but it's just timed quite well. If they can get this sorted now and come back to market and come back to production, then they're surely in a much better position now with the gold price at much higher levels than it was. Yeah, well, a couple of years ago, anyway.
Yeah, very much so. I think as well the Kilimapazi mine. It's a big mine. It's and they've also from memory, because I looked at the presentation, I think probably about a year ago, and looked through it, and obviously some of the machinery needed updating and replacing, but they'd also discovered some new zones of mineralization that have yet really to be explored. So the potential is huge. You've got the existing infrastructure in place, which is always good, because it's far easier to rework an existing mine than it is to build a brand new one. So all of that's in place. It's just really a question of, as with so many projects like this, getting the correct financial infrastructure in place, and of course getting that structure working, and ensuring that it can be profitable. And I think, as you said, Dan, with gold where it is right now, that should be achievable. So yeah, an exciting potential, I think, for them. Once they come back from suspension.
Yeah,
And it certainly keeps Jason Brewer busy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think we often talk on here about how it's good when a company has a clear plan, and it does feel like there's a clear plan here. It's obviously just being held back by these legacy issues, isn't it? So that's why I think it's such a interesting one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, I agree. I've always liked the story when it was trading, so bring it on, bring it back, and get minting some gold. Well, thank you, both of you. Let's see what next week brings. Yeah, who knows? It's going to get quieter, I think, though. So we'll see how it goes. We might take a little break from research talks in August, as we sometimes do, because it is just so quiet in August historically. But thank you very much, and enjoy your weekends.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Dan. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.